I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now. What I'm about to share isn't the kind of thing your father whispered to you before bed. It's not what your teachers drilled into your head at school. It's not what society wants you to know. In fact, most men will go to their graves completely blind to this truth. And that's exactly how the system wants it. Because once you hear what I'm about to tell you, you can't unhear it. It's the kind of truth that splits your life into two parts, before you knew it, and after. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolo Machiavelli wrote down the most dangerous insights about human nature ever recorded. His book was so threatening that the Catholic Church banned it. So powerful that kings, presidents, CEOs, and generals studied it behind closed doors while condemning it in public. Why? Because Machiavelli didn't write theories. He wrote the operating manual for human beings, not how we pretend to work, not how we wish we worked, but how we actually do. And here's the terrifying part. The people who already understand these truths are using them against you right now. In boardrooms, in relationships, in politics, in war. They're playing chess while you're still playing checkers. So ask yourself, why didn't your father teach you this? Why didn't your teachers? The answer is simple. Because their fathers didn't teach them. And because society has programmed you to believe that seeing reality makes you cynical, that being strategic makes you manipulative, that understanding power makes you evil. But here's the real truth. Ignorance isn't virtue. Ignorance is weakness. And starting right now, I'm going to make you powerful. I'm going to make you dangerous. Because once you see these truths, you'll never see human interaction the same way again. So before we go any further, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because what I'm about to reveal will change the way you see the world forever. And you don't want to miss what comes next. You've been told your entire life that humans are rational, that we weigh our options carefully, that we calculate outcomes, that our decisions are based on logic and reason. That's a lie. And it's one of the most dangerous lies you've ever been fed. Machiavelli knew the truth 500 years ago. He wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." Translation: people make decisions based on appearances, on illusions, on what looks right, not what is right. And here's the dark reality. Most people don't even want the truth. They want comfort. Think about it. The friend who begs you for advice about his failing relationship, but ignores you because the truth would hurt. The coworker who complains he's broke, but buys Starbucks every morning because it feels good. The woman who says she wants a nice guy, but keeps running back to the one who treats her like an option. Logic dies the second it collides with desire. Reason evaporates in the face of fear, lust, status, or comfort. That's the game, and you've been playing it wrong. Because you were taught to persuade people with facts, to win arguments with evidence, to show people the rational path. But facts don't move people. Feelings do. The man who masters feelings, who knows how to bypass logic and speak directly to emotion, controls every room he walks into. That man doesn't waste time trying to prove he's right. He makes people feel he's right. And that's infinitely more powerful. Think about it. Hitler didn't rise to power with spreadsheets or data charts. He rose through emotion. Speeches that inflamed anger, fear, and hope. Corporations don't sell billions of dollars worth of soda by showing you its chemical formula. They sell you happiness in a bottle. Religions don't spread through philosophy debates. They spread through fear, redemption, and the promise of eternal joy. That's why you lose arguments. That's why your advice is ignored. That's why people slip through your fingers. You keep thinking humans are rational. They're not. They're emotional addicts chasing the next hit of feeling. So here's your first dark lesson. Stop trying to change minds with facts. Start shaping emotions. Want to make someone follow you? Don't tell them what's good for them. Make them feel good about following you. Want to influence your partner? Don't argue with logic. Make them feel the pain of losing you or the joy of pleasing you. Want to dominate in business? Forget data. Craft a story that makes people believe you're the inevitable winner. The man who argues with facts is a schoolteacher. The man who controls emotions is a king. Once you understand this, you'll start seeing through everyone. The politician's smile, the influencer's brand, the co-worker's excuses. All of them are masks designed to protect feelings, not reveal truth. But once you see the mask, once you know that behind every action is an emotion, a weakness, a hunger, you can pull the strings. And that's just the beginning. Because if people are irrational, then loyalty itself is an illusion. That brings us to Machiavelli's next warning. There are only two kinds of men in this world: predators and prey. That's it. Strip away the politeness, the politics, the morality. And what's left is the oldest law of nature. The strong take, the weak are taken from. And here's the cruel twist. Weakness doesn't just fail to protect you, it attracts predators. Like blood in the water. Why do bullies pick on the quiet kid instead of the fighter? Why do corporations cut the weakest employees first? Why do women abandon the man who bends and chase the one who stands firm? Because predators always go for the easy meal. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Not because fear is noble, but because fear keeps the wolves away. Love without strength invites betrayal. Fear without love commands survival." Now here's the sinister twist most men never understand. Weakness doesn't just destroy you, it corrupts everyone around you. A weak man drains the strong. He becomes a burden that others must carry. He makes the world harsher for everyone else because when predators devour him, they don't stop. They look for the next meal. That's why weakness is more dangerous than cruelty. Cruel men at least stand on their own. Weak men pull others down with them like black holes. And yet, society tells you to be harmless, to soften yourself, to embrace your weakness. They call it sensitivity. They call it being a better man. But here's the truth. The man who cannot defend himself, his family, or his reputation is not a good man. He's a liability. Strength isn't optional. It's the price of your survival. Once you understand that, the world starts to look different. Every interaction becomes a test. Who's predator? Who's prey? Who sets the rules? And who obeys them blindly? This is why women chase men who radiate strength. Because deep down, they know weakness can't protect them. This is why leaders rise to power, because people would rather follow the strong than be torn apart in the chaos of the weak. And this is why you must decide. Will you be predator or prey? Your father, your teachers, even your mother, they all told you the same thing. Be nice, be agreeable, don't upset anyone, and people will like you. They lied. Machiavelli saw it centuries ago. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." Do you see it now? People confuse weakness with goodness. They confuse obedience with virtue. They think being nice makes them valuable. That's why women say they want nice guys but fall for rule breakers. That's why companies praise team players while promoting ruthless strategists. That's why the world keeps rewarding the ones you call bad boys, tyrants, and sharks. Because here's the truth: nice is not the same as good. Nice isn't good. Nice is avoiding conflict because you're afraid. Nice is saying what people want to hear so they'll like you. Nice is chasing approval, begging for scraps of validation. Good, on the other hand, is something else entirely. Good is having the hard conversation no one else will. Good is speaking the truth even when it makes people uncomfortable. Good is standing firm in your principles even when it makes you hated. Nice guys chase approval. Good men earn respect. And here's the brutal twist: women don't respect the nice guy. Bosses don't trust the nice guy. Friends don't follow the nice guy. Because niceness without strength isn't virtue. It's weakness wearing a mask. Weakness is repulsive. Look through history. Were the greatest leaders nice? Caesar? Alexander? Napoleon? They could be kind, yes. They could be merciful, yes. But only when it served their power. Never at the expense of their strength. Look at modern power. CEOs, presidents, champions. Are they nice? Not a chance. They're fair. They're just. They protect those who stand with them. But they don't beg for approval. They don't tremble at rejection. They don't fear being disliked. And that's exactly why they're followed. You can be kind without being weak. You can be good without being nice. But you cannot be respected if you are weak. Strength mixed with kindness is magnetic. Weakness mixed with niceness is poison. If you take nothing else from this, take this. Stop trying to be liked. Start demanding to be respected. Because when the choice is between being feared, being loved, or being ignored, the worst fate for any man is to be ignored. Your father probably told you that loyalty is everything. Be loyal to your friends. Be loyal to your company. Be loyal to your woman. But Machiavelli saw the world for what it truly is, not what it pretends to be. His warning was cold and precise. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Read that again. It's safer to be feared than to be loved. Why? Because love is fragile. Love is conditional. Love is loyal only when it benefits the one giving it. You've seen this play out 1,000 times. You just didn't have the courage to name it. That friend who only calls when he needs something. That company that calls its workers family until the next round of layoffs. That woman who keeps her options open while demanding your commitment. That's not loyalty. That's exploitation dressed up as loyalty. And here's what most men never understand. Loyalty without reciprocity isn't noble. It's weakness. A man who keeps giving loyalty to people who don't return it isn't virtuous. He's a fool. And fools are meant to be used. Think about the most powerful men you know. The ones who actually control their lives, not the pretenders. Are they blindly loyal? Do they stick around after betrayal, after disrespect, after being taken for granted? Hell no. They are strategically loyal. They understand that loyalty is a contract, and when that contract is broken, all bets are off. Here's the cold truth. Loyalty isn't about being a dog that follows no matter what. It's about being a wolf who walks beside those who prove they're worthy, and bares his teeth the moment they're not. Machiavelli saw kings trust too much and get stabbed in the back. He saw leaders who thought love would protect them, only to be devoured by the same people who swore allegiance. And today, nothing's changed. In your workplace, your relationships, your friend groups, loyalty exists, but only as long as it serves someone's interest. So how do you use this knowledge? Simple. Be generous with your loyalty, but ruthless about withdrawing it. Test people. Watch how they behave when there's nothing in it for them. See who shows up in your storms, not just your sunshine. Never keep giving to those who bleed you dry. A man who demands loyalty but never returns it is a tyrant. A man who gives loyalty to those who don't deserve it is a slave. And slaves get broken. So here's your second dark lesson. Never waste loyalty on those who can't or won't return it. Because loyalty without reciprocity isn't love. It isn't honor. It isn't noble. It's weakness. And weakness gets eaten alive. But this raises a terrifying question. If loyalty is fragile, if love is conditional, then what truly protects a man? What shields him from betrayal, exploitation, from being discarded the second he's no longer useful? Machiavelli's answer was chilling. Not love, not loyalty. Reputation. A man without reputation is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Translation. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters who they think you are. And that's where most men fail. They think authenticity means showing everything. They overshare. They expose their fears, their insecurities, their doubts. They cry about being misunderstood, and then wonder why no one respects them. Here's the truth. The world doesn't reward the real you. The world rewards the strategic you. Your reputation is your armor. It shields you from betrayal. It's the sword that cuts through lies. It's the shadow that enters every room before you do. With a strong reputation, enemies hesitate. With a weak one, even your friends start to doubt you. Look at history. Alexander the Great didn't conquer half the world just through tactics. He spread the myth that he was invincible, part god, untouchable. His enemies believed it before the battle even began. Or take modern times. Steve Jobs didn't just build Apple, he built an aura. People said he had a reality distortion field. Investors, employees, even rivals bent to his will because his reputation made them believe he could bend reality itself. Now compare that to the men you know who are constantly explaining themselves, begging people to understand them. They're not respected. They're pitied. Here's the dark lesson. Perception is reality. If you don't control perception, someone else will control it for you. Want to be seen as competent? Stop whining about problems. Present solutions. Want to be seen as valuable? Don't always be available. Scarcity creates worth. Want to be seen as powerful? Stop explaining your decisions to people who have no power over your life. This is called strategic authenticity. It's not about being fake. It's about revealing only the parts of yourself that serve your goals. Reputation is like fire. Leave it unattended, it dies. Let it spread wildly, it burns you alive. But if you control it, it gives you light, warmth, and fear. And here's the cruel truth. Once your reputation is tainted, it can take a lifetime to repair, if it ever recovers at all. A single crack can undo years of work. So guard it more fiercely than your money, more fiercely than your relationships, because your reputation is your passport to power. Without it, you're already exiled. But even reputation isn't enough, because there will always be those who want to destroy it, those who envy it, those who want to take your place. And that brings us to Machiavelli's next warning. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. Most men believe peace is the norm and war is the exception. Machiavelli knew the opposite. Conflict isn't something that might happen. It's always happening. In whispers, in shadows, in silence. The only question is, are you prepared for it? Or will you be devoured when it comes? Think of your life like a battlefield. In your career, someone's always watching, waiting for you to stumble. In your relationship, there's always another man willing to take your place if you grow weak. In your social circle, someone's always testing your boundaries, seeing how far they can push. And here's the brutal truth. If you're not prepared for war, you've already lost. The men you admire, the ones who rise above, they're not surprised by conflict. They expect it. They train for it. They prepare during peace so they don't bleed during war. A warrior doesn't sharpen his blade when the enemy arrives. He sharpens it every morning, even when the world looks peaceful. So, how does this look in your life? In business, Amazon stockpiles cash and crushes competitors long before they become threats. They prepare while everyone else relaxes. In politics, nations build arsenals and forge alliances even during so-called peace. In your personal life, the man who trains when no one is watching, who saves money when everyone else is spending, who builds allies before he needs them, that man survives every storm. Machiavelli gave us a parable. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Do you see it? You must be both, cunning enough to spot danger before it strikes, and strong enough to destroy it when it does. Most men only choose one. They're clever, but weak. The fox who gets torn apart. Or they're strong, but blind. The lion who walks straight into the hunter's trap. But the man who becomes both? That man is untouchable. Here's the dark law. Don't start wars, but be prepared to finish every single one. Because here's the secret weak men never understand. The man who is visibly prepared for war rarely has to fight. Why? Because predators sense strength. They can smell it. And they always go after the weaker target. So build yourself into a man others are afraid to test. Not because you're violent, not because you're reckless, but because you radiate readiness. Train when no one's looking. Save when no one else does. Learn when everyone else is distracted. Forge yourself into a weapon before the battle even begins. That way, when war comes, and it will, you won't panic. You'll already be ready. But even then, even with strength, cunning, reputation, and preparation, most men still fall. Why? Because they confuse being nice with being strong. That's the final your father told you. People like to imagine that honesty rules the world, that truth always wins, that integrity guarantees success. That's a fairy tale. The reality? Deception built kingdoms, toppled empires, and shaped history far more than honesty ever did. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promises." Read that again. He didn't say, "Some men lie." He said every man in power must be ready to deceive. Because deception isn't corruption, it's survival. Look at nature. The fox plays weak to lure prey. The snake hides until it strikes. The anglerfish waves its glowing bait to draw victims into its jaws. Humans are no different. Politicians sell dreams they never intend to deliver. Corporations wrap poison in shiny marketing about happiness and freedom. Even in your own home, people promise forever, until keeping that promise costs them something. And yet, most men cling to the illusion that honesty will protect them, that if they're just good enough, the world will reward them. Fools. Machiavelli knew the truth. The deceiver will never lack victims. Why? Because people are desperate to believe comforting lies. Here's the harsh reality. If you refuse to deceive, you'll still be deceived. If you refuse to play the game, you'll still be a piece on someone else's board. Does this mean you should lie constantly, cheat recklessly, betray everyone? No. That's what amateurs think power is. It means you must master the art of controlled deception, show masks, hide knives, reveal just enough truth to keep others blind to your intentions. The world doesn't reward pure honesty. It rewards strategic honesty. Tell the truth when it strengthens you. Lie when it protects you. Break promises when keeping them would destroy you. And above all, never forget, everyone else is already doing the same. Here's the law no one dares admit. The honest man isn't noble. He's prey. You've been told morality is absolute, that good is rewarded and evil is punished. That's another illusion. Machiavelli saw it for what it really was. He understood that morality isn't truth, it's control. Think about it. Who decides what's good? Not you, not the masses. The powerful do. When rulers want obedience, they call it virtue to submit. When leaders want sacrifice, they call it honor to die for them. When elites want control, they redefine evil as anything that threatens their authority. And the masses eat it up because believing in morality feels safe. It makes people think the world is fair, that justice always wins. But history spits on that illusion. The church burned men alive in the name of morality. Nations justified slavery and conquest through righteousness. Modern governments bomb cities and call it defending freedom. Morality isn't about truth, it's about narrative. And those who control the narrative control morality. Here's the darker twist. The powerful rarely follow the morality they preach. They don't have to. They invent it for you. They tell you it's wrong to lie, while deceiving you daily. They tell you it's wrong to be ruthless, while crushing competition. They tell you it's wrong to be selfish, while hoarding everything for themselves. Why? Because a population that believes in fixed morality is easy to control. They'll police themselves, they'll bow to authority, and call it virtue. Meanwhile, the powerful break every rule whenever they need to, because they know morality is a tool, not a truth. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good, and to use this knowledge or not use it according to necessity." That's the real law. Don't throw morality away, wield it. Appear moral when it serves you. Break morality when survival demands it. Never become a prisoner of someone else's moral code. Because the man who clings to morality, no matter the cost, becomes a pawn. The man who bends morality to his will becomes a king. Every empire, every company, every family, every relationship runs on the same hidden economy. Not love, not money, not honor, but fear and reward. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Men aren't moved by ideals. They're moved by the fear of pain and the hunger for pleasure. Strip away religion, politics, or ethics, and that's all that's left. Kings keep their crowns because people fear their wrath more than they hate their rule. Corporations keep workers in line with the carrot of promotion and the stick of unemployment. Parents raise children through a mix of rewards and punishment. This is the real law of power. He who controls the balance of fear and reward controls men. Look around. The politician who promises safety while threatening danger. The preacher who offers paradise but warns of hell. The lover who withdraws affection, then floods you with warmth. These are not coincidences. They're tactics as old as time. Most men fail because they only use one side. They lead with love and give endlessly until people take them for granted. Or they lead with fear and rule so cruelly that rebellion follows. Machiavelli's secret was balance. Too much reward breeds entitlement. Too much fear breeds revolt. But the man who mixes both, who withholds to create hunger, then rewards at the peak of desire, that man creates loyalty stronger than chains. Think of the abusive relationship where the victim stays. Why? Because cruelty followed by kindness becomes addictive. Think of the tyrant who rules for decades. Why? Because he punishes enough to inspire fear, but rewards enough to prevent despair. Now, turn the mirror on yourself. How do you influence others? Through endless giving, hoping they'll love you? Or through cold control, forcing them to obey? Both are weak. The true Machiavellian mixes the two like poison and honey, crafting dependence so deep that escape feels impossible. Ask yourself, what does this person fear losing most? What do they crave most desperately? And how can I position myself as the one who controls both? Once you can answer that, you own them. People like to talk about trust as if it's sacred, unbreakable, eternal. But Machiavelli knew better. Trust isn't stone, it's glass. Beautiful, reflective, fragile. The moment it cracks, it shatters forever. Here's the first dark law. Trust is temporary. It only lasts as long as it benefits both sides. Think of your own life. How quickly did a friend's trust vanish when you stopped being useful? How fast did your trust disappear after one betrayal? Trust breaks. Always, the weak beg for trust. They make promises, swear loyalty, plead for belief. And when trust shatters, they crumble with it. The strong don't beg for trust, they engineer it. They build it through repetition, image, and controlled exposure. They use it as a weapon, not a foundation. Think of the con artist. He survives not because he's trustworthy, but because he looks trustworthy. Think of the politician. He doesn't need real trust, just enough to win votes. Think of the seducer. He doesn't need unconditional trust, just enough to lower defenses. Here's the second dark law. Trust doesn't have to be real. It just has to be convincing. And the third, the man who trusts too much is easier to control than the man who trusts nothing at all. Because blind trust gives others the keys to your destruction. He'll forgive betrayal after betrayal. He'll believe excuses, no matter how hollow. He'll cling to illusions because the truth terrifies him. This is why weak men are devoured. They think trust equals love, honor, morality, but trust is just leverage, and those who understand this hold the leash. So burn this into your mind. Never depend on trust. Use it, shape it, exploit it. But never rest your survival on it, because trust isn't stone, it's glass, and it's made to break. You've now seen what most men never will. That people aren't rational, they're emotional. That loyalty without reciprocity is weakness. That reputation is armor. That war never stops. That niceness is a mask for fear. That fear lasts longer than love. That deception is survival. That morality is a cage. that fear and reward are the real currencies of power, and that trust, the thing most men cling to, is nothing but glass waiting to shatter. You were never meant to know this. You were trained to obey, to be harmless, to play nice. But now, the blindfold is off. You see the world not as it pretends to be, but as it truly is. And you can't go back. You can't unsee it. From this moment forward, you'll see every smile as a mask, every promise as bait, every act of virtue as strategy. You've stepped into the dark, and once you've seen it, the light can never blind you again. So the question isn't, will you learn these truths? You already have. The question is, will you use them? Because knowledge like this is a weapon. In the hands of the weak, it becomes paranoia. In the hands of the strong, it becomes power. The kind of power that bends the world. If you're strong enough to carry it, walk forward with it. If you're not, bury it, and pretend you never heard me speak. But for those ready to step into the abyss, this is only the beginning. Machiavelli didn't just leave warnings. He left blueprints. Blueprints for influence, for dominance, for survival. And I'll show you every single one. So if you're ready to go deeper into the strategies used by rulers, seducers, generals, and kings, listen carefully. Like this video. Subscribe now, because the next lesson won't make you comfortable. It'll make you untouchable. And when that happens, you will never be ignored.